The first thing we need to understand is just a little bit of basics about the bank system and how transactions operate currently. So, the first thing is when you make a transaction, let's just say you're at Walmart or something, right? If you're paying in cash, that cash is actually important in that it gives trust to the supplier. Okay, so like when you go buy, some $20 shoes at Walmart, when you give Walmart that cash, they're like, okay, this cash can clearly be used as legal tender in the U.S. And because of this, I trust that it can be used, and I'll give you the shoes, right? A different problem arises once you start having digital money. And so the first thing to understand is that digital assets or digital anything can be copied very easily. So when you're at Walmart and you have your credit card and you're trying to pay money for those same shoes, how does Walmart verify that there's actually money that you have that will be transferred into Walmart's bank account that they can use? And so um, what happens is for the most part, or what happens is we actually use third parties. We call them banks, and so these banks, they do a really important function of bookkeeping. So they keep track of all of our assets, all of our money, and make sure that no one is double dipping with their assets. So that no one's double dipping with their digital currency or whatever, right? And that's really important because if you could spend $10 twice, then the $10 wouldn't be worth $10. It'd be worth something else. And so it's a
Yeah.
really big issue. So the key point here is that banks operate as a central bookkeeper for all of our transactions. And so what does it actually look like in the banking
And how
system?
does that work? Like, how do banks? Because I know this whole idea of banks actually sending money to each other. It's not
Hmm.
like money actually leaves one bank to another. It's like the bank doesn't go, oh, I'm Armel. Like Armel just spent $10 at Walmart. Let's
Right.
take this $10 bill that we have in the bank reserve and let's go give it to Walmart's bank. Like, how does that actually work?
Right. So what really happens is let's start with the first scenario, which is that me and Walmart hold the same bank. We probably don't, but just go with it for now. We'll say it's Capital One. Okay. So if I'm paying Walmart, what would happen is Capital One has a bank account for Walmart and a bank account for us or for me. And so when I'm trying to pay $10 for those shoes, what they do is they just decrease the amount of money in my account by $10 and increase the same amount of money in Walmart's account. So Walmart's account will go up by $10 and mine goes down by $10. And then that net, it's even with for the bank. I lose $10, which would be my payment. Walmart gains $10, and then I get my shoes. And
But
that's how
there's
that
but
transaction
there's
works.
still the same amount of money in the
Right.
bank.
Yeah. Do you have any clarification so far?
No, not that
No?
made perfect sense. That's the more straightforward.
Right. Yeah. So now it gets more complicated where let's say we have different banks. So let's say that Walmart uses Chase and I'm still using Capital One. So for the money to get from Capital One to Chase, if this is basically how it works. A lot of times banks will hold accounts with other banks. So in this instance, Capital One would hold a bank account with Chase, the same way that I hold a bank account with Capital One. They hold a bank account with Chase as if they were just a person, if that makes sense. And so what would happen is Capital One would decrease my account by $10 and then increase their account at Chase by $10. And then Chase would decrease Capital One's bank account with Chase by $10 and then increase Walmart's account with Chase by $10. Does that make sense?
It makes sense to me because I've read it and understood it.
You
And
wanna-
we will add visuals to it. I guess if I was to add anything to it, honestly, I'll just be reiterating what you're saying because
You can say it again.
well. You explained it well. The only thing I'll think about is literally to just reiterate what Ben says. Try to do in less words is there's the bank actually holds an account with my bank, right? And then it's just like the same thing that happens as if we both have the same bank account, except that now that it's a bank instead of a person, or
Yeah.
however, right? So it's we'll add visuals. That's
We'll
really
add
all I
visuals
wanted
for
to
sure.
add. That's really
Yeah, I mean-
all I wanted to say. I don't know why I threw myself in this explanation. It's
I got
beyond
you.
me. But isn't this like really inefficient?
Yeah, so then you kind of run into the problems. I know it seems like there's only like 3 banks in the world, but trust me, there's a lot of banks. And so for every bank to hold an account with every other bank is a hassle. Actually, a hassle is an understatement to say that it's a hassle. So what really happens is here in the U.S. we have what's called a central bank. You might have heard it. We use the Federal Reserve, or the Fed for short. But there's actually more than one central bank. They're regional. but that's not the point. The point is how the central bank operates as a middleman between all banks, basically. And so in this same scenario, for instance, like I have Capital One, Walmart has Chase still, so same general stuff. But let's say that Capital One doesn't have a bank account with Chase, and they still need to get the money to Chase so Walmart can get their money, right? What happens is Capital One will take $10 and the decrease $10 in my account, and they actually hold an account with the central bank similar to how they held an account with Chase earlier. So central bank is just another bank. Don't think about it any differently. It's essentially the same thing. And so Capital One will increase their account with the central bank by $10, okay? Now Chase will also hold an account with the central bank, and the central bank will transfer that $10 to Chase's account with the central bank. So just to reiterate, the central bank received $10 from Capital One, and then they decrease the $10 in Capital One's account, and then increase $10 in Chase's account.
Yeah.
Chase then takes that money that was increased in their account and then puts it into Walmart's account with Chase, okay? So all I have to say is that it's kind of just a long middleman where the central bank acts as a middleman between the banks to transfer the money just to get from me to Walmart, and then I get my shoes.
And why do you guys think it takes so long for payments to just get settled? It's like, wow, like, because all of this, everything when a payment actually occurs, we're not going to go into this though. It doesn't immediately actually happen. Like when you swipe your card and everything, it's like it shows a decrease in your account, but what's actually happening between the banks, like you just explained, takes a long time. But that's a whole different story. And the only thing I'll add on that is the way to think about the central bank is just the banks for the banks.
Exactly. It's just like where banks go to bank.
Me and you can't open an account at the central bank. But good old Capital One, Chase, Charles, all that open banks there.